Hello, my name is Chris Komorek, and I'll be leading you through today's Clean Energy webinar, which will focus on a critical review of Lester R. Brown's The Great Transition, Shifting from Fossil Fuels to Solar and Wind Energy. I'll quickly go over some background info on Mr. Brown and follow that up with his book itself and what he highlights throughout. Then I'll break down some of the areas further where I'll discuss the clean energy global outlook, economics, and government policy and how it plays a part in all this. Let's begin with Lester Russell Brown. Mr. Brown was born on March 28, 1934 and was raised on a farm in Bridgeton, New Jersey. From the very beginning, he loved farming. He was quoted as saying, "Farming is all I ever wanted to do with all my life. You have to know soils, weather, plant pathology, entomology, management, even politics. It's the ideal interdisciplinary profession." In 1955, Brown receives an agricultural science degree from Rutgers University. He spent 6 months attending International Farm Youth Exchange Program in rural Indiana, where he discovered his passion for world population and how to feed it. This led to his next feat in education, which is his master's in agricultural economics, which gained him employment at the Department of Agriculture's Foreign Agricultural Service as an international analyst in the Asia branch. In 1963, he published Man, Land, and Foot for the U.S. News and Report. This was the first complete projection of world food, land resources, and population to the end of the century. In 1966, the Secretary appointed him administrator of the department's International Agricultural Development Service with the aim to help increase food production in developing countries. Brown founded the World Watch Institute in 1974 with the aid of a grant from the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. Here, the institute was focused on global environmental issues such as food scarcity, renewable energy, and sustainable development. Brown served as its president until the year 2000. In 2001, he left the World Watch Institute to establish the Earth Policy Institute, which functioned as an environmental think tank. In 2015, Brown stepped down as president. Some of Brown's works and accolades include authoring or co-authoring over 50 books dealing with resource sustainment, population growth, world food, geopolitics, and energy sustainability. He received as many as 20 honorary medals through the MacArthur Fellowship and won many other prizes to include the Environmental Prize in 1987 and the Worldwide Fund for Nature Gold Medal in 1989. In Mr. Brown's book, The Great Transition, he covers a great deal of information. He uses his knowledge, research, and vast experience in the environmental field to highlight that the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy is in fact happening, and faster than one might think. He also runs through the various sources, renewable and non-renewable, and gives a brief background and current status of each from a global standpoint. The other major area covered is economics and also governmental influence on how this transition is taking place. So, is the transitioning happening? The fact of the matter is fossil fuels worked for us significantly since the Industrial Revolution, and prior to that we used wood, but times are changing. Climate change is happening, and fossil fuel usage has made a significant impact. As technology improves, we adapt as we have throughout time. This may come as a surprise to some, but the large oil companies have seen the writing on the wall. You can see in the chart below, oil companies are dealing in clean energy. This really tells it all. By far, solar and wind are leading. When looking at a global perspective, it's also clear what's happening. Since Brown's book was written in 2015, new energy generation has continued to skyrocket, with around 2/3 or 165 gigawatts of net new capacity coming from clean sources just in 2016 alone, 1 year after the book was published. The International Energy Agency's electricity forecast, which predicts renewable energy capacity, will expand by 43%, or more than 920 gigawatts by 2022. As seen here, consumption by some of the larger countries from 2017 from 2023 is significant. You can see here that it isn't just a myth. Countries all around the world are achieving amazing feats in the renewable energy sector. The trend will only continue. From an economic standpoint, cost is everything. From a technological standpoint, things like solar and wind are advancing at a very fast pace. Because of this, efficiency is increasing while cost is decreasing. It's like when flat screen TVs initially came out, cost was significantly higher than a standard tube TV. However, in 2019, it's pretty much a standard to own one in most US households. This example is just one of the many in society where new tech is costly, but soon after levels out to where it's affordable. The same can be said about clean energy. With coal, nuclear, oil, and gas, significant costs are accrued to drill it, haul it, burn it, and transport it. Once a clean energy source is established, it in theory will produce streamlined energy until the sun and/or wind is no more. At this point in time, solar and wind energy costs are competing and/or beating non-renewable resources such as coal and oil. This is measured by levelized cost of electricity, which accounts for capital costs, fuel costs, fixed and variable operations and maintenance costs, financing costs, and an assumed utilization rate for each plant type. The diagram shows costs from 2009 to 2017. Solar and wind especially has seen the biggest drops. From an investment standpoint, it's no secret that the big-time billionaires are seeing where things are going. One of every $5 invested in the U.S. today targets sustainable investments. So who's investing? Well, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Jack Ma, and other tech titans recently committed $1 billion to launching a new low-carbon energy fund. Warren Buffett's company is busy investing in solar and wind energy products, including the world's largest solar plant, and 84 major corporations have pledged to source 100% of their energy from renewables going forward. Now let's look at employment. Looking at the creation of new jobs in the energy sector throughout the world, there's no denying that clean energy is the leader. Now, focusing on government policy. Policy has the ability to accelerate or slow down the transition. If we are to reduce our carbon footprint in energy and transportation, politics across the globe will have to play its part. Governments home and abroad have already used some basic policy mechanisms to support the move to carbon-free renewables resources. The first being the feed-in tariff, or the FIT. A FIT program normally secures set prices for customers who own a FIT-eligible renewable electricity generation facility, such as a rooftop solar photovoltaic system will receive a set price for utility for all of electricity they generate and provide to the grid. This encourages investment. The next mechanism used is renewable portfolio standards. This is essentially a governmental mandate that a certain amount of electricity generation be from a renewable resource. So energy companies would have to produce, say, 10 to 40% of its electricity from a clean source. RPSs are used worldwide. Tax credits are exactly that. The government has instilled tax credits to offset the cost of establishing a clean energy source, making it competitive with fossil fuel sources. These two have been used globally. Another simple way to regulate carbon emission is to instill a carbon tax. This simply instills a tax on each pound of carbon emitted. Another area to look at in carbon pricing is with what's called a cap and trade program. The cap is the limit established on a greenhouse gas emissions. The cap gets stricter over time. The trade side is a market for companies to buy and sell allowances that let them emit only a certain amount as supply and demand set the price. Trading gives companies incentive to save money by reducing emissions in the most cost-effective ways. Thank you.